Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Here I am Sajjad Hussain and my groupmate Muhammad Addad bin Aziman, and we're going to present about Wi-Fi. So in this presentation we're going to focus on Wi-Fi technology, Wi-Fi network element, Wi-Fi network topologies, hotspots, how Wi-Fi network works, block diagram, modulation, advantages and limitations of Wi-Fi. So firstly, what is Wi-Fi? So when we heard about Wi-Fi, we think that high speed, unlimited internet. So in definition, Wi-Fi is defined as an abbreviation for wireless fidelity, meaning you can access or a connect to a network using radio waves without needing to use wires. So in simply, we can use internet without wire. Okay. From now, 22 years ago, we introduced about Wi-Fi. 31st September 1998, we introduced about Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is simply a trademark phrase that means IEEE 802.11. So, Wi-Fi technology. Wi-Fi technology is an alternative network to wired network which is commonly used for connecting devices in wireless mode. And Wi-Fi uses radio technology to transmit and receive data at high speed. Wi-Fi technology currently they are having six major types of technologies. So firstly, Wi-Fi 802.11b, and day by day it's upgraded and we get new and updated version, and in continuously Wi-Fi 802.11a, then 802.11c, 802.11n, then 802.11ac, and finally we get 802.11ax. Okay, so in detail, IEEE 802.11b. So we introduced about that in 1998, and this version is using 2.4 gigahertz radio spectrum. And for theoretically, within 30 meters we get 11 Mbps, but in actual speed we get 4 to 6 Mbps, and the range is 100 to 150 feet. And this is the most popular and less expensive. Okay, secondly, IEEE 802.11a. We introduced about that in 2001, and this one is using radio frequency 5 gigahertz. Theoretical Mbps is theoretical speed is 54 Mbps, where actually we get 15 to 20 Mbps, and the range is 50 to 75 range. This is more expensive compared to the last one and not compatible with IEEE 802.11b. That means just we talk about the first one. And thirdly, IEEE 802.11z. We introduced about this version in 2003, and this one is combine the feature of both standards 802.11a and b, and the range is 100 to 150 feet, and we get speed 54 Mbps, and this version use radio frequency of 2.4 gigahertz, compatible with B. Okay, and then IEEE 802.11n. So we introduced about this version in 2019, and the area coverage is up to 300 feet, and the speed 72 to 600 Mbps, and this version is using radio frequency 2.5 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. Both are using this version. And IEEE 802.11 AC. We introduced about that in 2014. For the area coverage for 1 meter is for 1 meter speed is 1990 Mbps. For 10 meter is 70 Mbps, and for 20 meters and behind two solid walls is 50 Mbps, and average speed is from 72 to 600 6,933 Mbps. And this one also using both frequencies 2.5 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. IEEE 802.11AX. We recently introduced about that in 2019, that means last year, and range is 820 feet, and average speed is to 600 to 9,608, and radio frequencies uses 2.5 and 5 gigahertz, also 1 to 6 gigahertz ISM. Okay, here we can see the generation, the comparing table of 802.11, that means Wi-Fi. Here is updated the when it's published, the maximum link rate, frequency, as I explained previously. This is just all together in one table. So Wi-Fi network element. Access point. The access point is wireless LAN transceiver or base station that can connect one or many wireless devices together to the internet. And Wi-Fi cables, they accept the wireless signal and relay information. They can be internal or external. Safeguards. Firewalls and antivirus software protect networks from uninvited users and keep information secure. So, and then Wi-Fi network topologies. And here we see we are using two types of topologies. Firstly, peer-to-peer topologies, and secondly, AP-based topology. So, what is peer-to-peer topology? For peer-to-peer topologies, access point is not required. Client device within a cell can communicate with each other directly. It is useful for setting up a wireless network quickly and easily. On the other hand, infrastructure network, the client communicates through access point. Any communication has to go through access point. Like if a mobile station like computer, PDA, phone wants to communicate with other mobile station, it needs to send the information to access point first. Then access point send it to the destination mobile station. So, then hotspot. A hotspot is a geographical area that has readily accessible wireless network. Hotspots are equipped with broadband internet connection and one or more access points that allow users to access the internet wireless. Hotspots can be set up in public locations that can support an internet connection. Okay, how Wi-Fi network works. A Wi-Fi hotspot is created by installing an access point to an internet connection. An access point acts a base station. When Wi-Fi enabled device encounters a hotspot, the device can connect to the network wirelessly, and many access points can connect each other via Ethernet cables, create a single large network. Uh, this was for me, and the other rest of the part will be discussed by my friends at that. And thank you.
Okay, next I will talk about the block diagram of 8 or 211 or known as Wi-Fi. So this basically is the transceiver block diagram of the Aero 211. As you can see here, transceiver basically is a device that is able to both transmit and receive information through a transmission medium. It is a combination of transmitter and a receiver. And you can see here we can see the block diagram of transmitter above and the receiver at the below. Okay, for the transmitter block diagram, first the data will uh, go through the convolution encoder before it goes to interleaving, mapping, and pilot insertion block, and then it will go to IFFT, which is inverse fast Fourier transform, and then it will go to gut interval insertion, and it will go to IQ modulation before it goes to high high power amplifier, and before it can be transmit. As you can see, before transmission, data is encrypted and encoded for secure and error-free communication using data scrambler and convolutional encoder. An interleaver permutes symbols according to a mapping. The corresponding interleaver uses the inverse mapping to restore the original sequence of symbols. The block interleaver accepts a set of symbols and rearranges them without repeating or omitting any of the symbols in the set. Then, the 64 IFFT has been performed, which converts frequency domain to time domain. Next, we go to gut interval, which is used to ensure that the distinct transmission do not interfere with one another, or otherwise can cause overlapping transmission. Then the OFDM, or orthogonal frequency division multiplexing subcarriers shall be modulated by using BPSK, QPSK, 16 QAM, or 64 QAM modulation based on the rate requested. We will talk about the modulation later on. I will proceed first. We can Next we are talking about the block diagram of the receiver. As you can see, the data will go through the low noise amplifier and into the AGC, automatic gain control, and then we go to IQ demodulation and go through gut interval removal and fast Fourier transform before it go to pilot remove, the interleaving and demapping, and finally the FEC decoder. Uh, Basically, the receiver consists of all the blocks reverse of the transmitter, except it will have front and synchronization modules for time offset, frequency offset, and channel impairment correction in the IQ demodulation block. This is achieved using preamble pattern. After, after this is done, header is decoded as the modulation code rate is known as BPSK 1 over 2. Next, we will see the modulation of the Wi-Fi. Um, as you can see here, the modulation is dependent on the data rate. As you can see, for example, 6 megabyte per second The modulation type is BPSK, which is the binary phase shift keying. For the 12 megabit per second, it uses quadrature phase shift keying modulation. And for example, for 24 megabit per second, it uses 16 QAM, quadrature amplitude modulation. Next, we will talk about the frequency used in 802.11. As you can see here, the 802.11 frequency bands is different based on the type of the IEEE 802.11. We can see here the 802.11a use the 5 GHz frequency bands, while 802.11b use 2.4 GHz. As you can see here, most of the type of the protocol of the IEEE 802.11 use either 2.4 GHz or 5 GHz. So let us see the difference between the 2.4 GHz and the 5 GHz frequency bands. For the 2.4 GHz, it is often referred to as 2.4 GHz band. This spectrum is most widely used of the bands available for Wi-Fi. It's usually used by 802.11b, G, and N. It can carry a maximum of 3 non-overlapping channels. This band is widely used by many other non-licensed items, including microwave ovens, Bluetooth, etc., etc. Next, we'll talking about the 5 GHz. Basically, the 5 GHz Wi-Fi band, or to be precise, the 5.8 GHz band, provides additional bandwidth and being at a higher frequency. It is the cost of the equipment are slightly higher, although usage and hence interference is less. It can be used by 802.11a and N. It can carry up to 23 non-overlapping channels, but gives a shorter range than 2.4 GHz. The 5 GHz Wi-Fi is preferred by many because of the number of channels and the bandwidth available. There are also fewer other users of this band. As we can see, the major difference between the 4 GHz and 5 GHz is the range. The range provided by the 2.4 and the 5. 2.4 use low frequency but a long range, while the 5 GHz use high frequency with shorter range. Okay, let's move on to the advantages of Wi-Fi. Okay, first, the Wi-Fi is very convenient. The Wi-Fi or the wireless networks allows multiple users to connect through the same network in a second without configuration through router or hotspot. While in wired connection network, it takes more time to configure. The second point is the mobility. The mobility of the Wi-Fi. As long as you in the range of Wi-Fi access point, you can use it anywhere you want, especially with mobile devices. Next, the deployment is one of the advantages of Wi-Fi because the installation of Wi-Fi access point is easier compared to wired network connection. Next, the fourth point is the expandability. We can add new users to a Wi-Fi network easily compared to wired connection. We no need to install any new type of equipment as compared to wired connection. And of course, the advantages is the Wi-Fi is more cheaper than a wired connection, because especially when installing a new Wi-Fi network, you can cut down the expenses in wiring and maintenance. Next, the limitations of Wi-Fi. Basically, there is many, but I will list down the 5 limitations of Wi-Fi. The first is the security. The security, even though many encryption techniques are taken by wireless network, still the Wi-Fi is vulnerable to hacking, especially when using the public Wi-Fi. Next, the limitation of Wi-Fi is the range. The range is typically limited around 100 to 150 feet. Next, the third point is the speed of the Wi-Fi. The speed or the Wi-Fi connection speed is lower compared to wired connection. And the moment when there are more devices connected, you could experience a drastic reduction in the speed. Next, the reliability of the Wi-Fi is also the limitation of it, because as you know that the most Wi-Fi use the 2.4 gigahertz frequency, and this frequency has high chances of getting interrupted due to electromagnetic waves and other forms of obstacles. And last but not least, the bandwidth of the Wi-Fi. Many routers only allows usually about 30 maximum devices to be connected. The bandwidth, the bandwidth of Wi-Fi network gets weaker as you add more devices. So to conclude, we can say that the Wi-Fi is a simple and cost-effective way to connect to internet without the need of wires, and it is growing in popularity because of decreasing cost and the freedom it gives to users. That's all from us. Thank you for listening and watching. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.